Everyone in Verith City knows the Kalhert name. Old money. 3 towers in the financial district. A family that doesn't wait in lines, doesn't make appointments, and definitely doesn't date men who fix broken buildings for free. So when Riva Kalhert walks into Solon Ver's drafting room on a Wednesday night, folders scattered, coffee cold, dust on his jacket from the site he'd been crawling through since 6 that morning, and tells him she's done waiting, nobody in their circle is surprised. What surprises them is what she says next. You have to choose, Riva tells him. The Marin District project. Or me. Solon looks up from his blueprints. The Marin District is 8 blocks of collapsed commercial property on the city's south edge, vacant for 11 years, officially classified derelict grade by the municipal authority, and completely ignored by every developer in Verith. No ROI. No foot traffic. No reason to touch it. Except Solon has been touching it for 2 years. Evenings. Weekends. His own money. Riva's friends call it charity cosplay. Her father calls it a red flag. She calls it embarrassing. Choose, she says again. Solon sets his pencil down. The project, he says. The breakup takes 11 minutes. Riva is efficient. She leaves the ring on the drafting table, a small, pointed gesture, and sends 3 of her friends a voice note before she reaches the elevator. By morning, the story is everywhere in their social tier. The men who chose rubble over Riva Kalhert. The punchline writes itself. Her father Idrin Kalhert calls Solon's firm the following week. Not to talk, to warn. The Kalherts own partial stakes in 2 of the 3 investors still casually watching the Marin site. Idrin makes one call. Both investors pull out by Friday. Solon's firm loses its operating contract for the Aldenmere Plaza renovation, the only major paid project on his books. 2 weeks after the breakup, Solon Ver has no girlfriend, no investors, no contract, and a condemned district he is legally not permitted to rebuild alone because he no longer has the capital bond required by the Municipal Construction Authority. He goes to the site anyway. It's a Tuesday at dawn, late autumn, the kind of cold that gets into concrete. He walks the 8 blocks alone, a cracked promenade, 3 collapsed archway frames, a market hall with its ceiling caved in, 11 residential units with their windows sealed with plywood and a municipal tag reading hazard/entry prohibited. He has a clipboard. A measuring tape. 3 days' worth of food in a bag. He sits on a broken step in the middle of the market hall, looks up through the hole in the ceiling at a sky that is just starting to go gray, and opens his notebook. He writes, Day 1. Nothing. No money, no crew, no permission. Just the building and me. The moment the pen lifts from the paper, something changes. System, sovereign contractor, activation condition met. Condition, complete abandonment of professional standing. 0 capital. 0 crew. Single occupant. Ruin grade structure. Intent, rebuild from 0. Class assigned, sovereign contractor, tier, unranked/above municipal classification. Active functions loading. Structural debt reader, active, scans any structure for its unrealized assessed value at completion. Displays as the structure's owed potential. Labor of 1, active, solo construction output scaled to full crew equivalent, quality rated above spec. Materials debt, active, derelict or unclaimed materials within 500 m of any active worksite automatically fall under contractor's right of salvage, no cost. Domain anchor, dormant, unlocks at first completed structure. Anchor's site is sovereign territory, value of all future structures in the zone compounds on the first. Solon reads the translucent panel floating at eye level for a very long time. Then he reads it again. Then he picks up his measuring tape and gets to work. He starts with the market hall, because it's the largest and most exposed. The structural debt reader tells him the number the moment he steps inside. The hall's unrealized value at completion is 430,000 in municipal assessed units. More than he earned in the last 2 years combined. The labor of 1 kicks in before he's driven the first anchor bolt. What should take a crew of 6 a week takes Solon 3 days. The materials debt pulls from 2 abandoned sites within 300 meters, steel framing from a collapsed parking structure, glazing panels from a sealed boutique, reclaimed hardwood from a condemned restaurant strip. He doesn't sleep much. He eats when he remembers. He works in the dark with a headlamp when he runs out of daylight. On day 11, the market hall ceiling is sealed. On day 14, the floor is refinished. On day 19, the hall stands, clean lines, restored archway, new glazing that catches the morning light and throws it gold across the promenade outside. He sits on the finished floor the night it's done and eats a sandwich. Then the domain anchor activates. Domain anchor, locked, Marin Market Hall, Verith City South. Sovereign territory established. Compound multiplier, active. Every structure completed within sovereign territory, assessed value compounded on previous. Current multiplier, 1.4 times. Next structure, multiplier applies at completion. He starts the residential units the next morning. The first unit takes him 9 days. The compound multiplier makes the second one worth 1.4 times the first. By the time he finishes the third, the multiplier has stacked again. He doesn't fully understand the math until he finishes the fourth unit and the structural debt reader shows him the running total. He sits with that number for a while. Then he starts on the archway frames. By day 60, the Marin Promenade is open. All 3 archways are restored. The market hall is lit. 6 of the 11 residential units are complete and sealed, each one cleaner and more precisely built than the last, because the labor of one keeps calibrating against his accumulated output. A woman named Della, who owns a small bakery and has been renting a substandard space 3 districts over, walks through one morning, finds Solon painting trim at 7 a.m., and asks him how much. He quotes her the market rate. She takes it. She's in within a week, and the smell of bread starts coming out of the market hall in the mornings. Then a ceramics workshop. Then a small bookbinder. Then a tailor who has been operating out of a converted garage for 4 years and almost cries when she sees the light in the corner unit. Solon sets rents at fair market, not what call-her-tier landlords charge, but what the businesses can actually sustain. He doesn't advertise. People find the place the way people find things that are real, word moves. By day 84, all 11 residential units are occupied. The domain anchor's multiplier has compounded 11 times. The structural debt reader shows him the cumulative assessed value of the completed Marin site. Solon looks at that number for a long time. Then he opens his notebook and writes, day 84. The district is alive. Here's what the system says it's worth now. He writes the number. Then he closes the notebook and goes to bed. The Municipal Construction Authority notices first. A routine valuation survey, the kind they run annually on derelict grade sites to update the registry, comes back with a number that sends the assessor back to rerun it twice. When it comes back the same both times, he escalates to the department head. The department head escalates to the city planning board. By the time the formal notification arrives at Solon's worksite, 3 board members have personally walked the promenade, and one of them has eaten a croissant from Della's bakery, and none of them are quite sure how to explain what they're looking at. The letter the planning board sends him begins, regarding the Marin district site, formerly classified derelict grade, the municipal authority wishes to discuss a formal reclassification and a possible anchor development contract for the surrounding 12-block radius. Solon reads the letter standing in the promenade, pigeons walking around his boots. He writes back in 3 lines, sets the terms he wants, creative authority, no investor board approval requirements, tenant protection clauses locked in perpetuity, and says he'll begin the 12-block expansion on the date he chooses. They agree to every term within 48 hours. He starts the expansion on day 91. This is where the compound multiplier becomes difficult to look at directly. Each new structure in the sovereign territory inherits the stacked value of everything before it. By the time Solon completes the first commercial block of the expansion, a curved building that traces the natural contour of an old canal he uncovers under the cracked pavement, the assessed value of the Marin site is the 3rd highest per square meter rating in Verith City. By the time he finishes the second block, it's the 2nd highest. The structural debt reader for the 3rd block shows a number so large that Solon has to have the system display it in a different unit of measure, because the first one has too many digits. He finishes the 3rd block on day 144. Domain anchor, Sovereign District, established. Marin District, Verith City South, Sovereign Contractors Territory, 8 blocks plus 12-block expansion in progress. Compound multiplier, 14.7 times. Assessed district value, above city classification, unranked comparator, No existing district in the Verith registry has reached this yield from a derelict grade baseline. City Planning Authority has flagged this territory as the highest ROI development zone in the city's recorded history. The financial press finds it around day 150. Not because anyone tips them off. Because the Marin district is now visible from the financial towers across town, the light from the restored promenade's new lantern installation catches on the canal at dusk, and someone on the 32nd floor of a banking firm photographs it, and the caption is, "What is happening down there?" By the time a journalist gets to Solon, he has already signed a secondary expansion contract with the city and broken ground on a fourth block. She asks him how he did it. He shows her the promenade, the market hall, the canal, the bookbinder's shop, the tailor in the corner unit. He tells her the rent figures. She writes the piece. The headline is, "The Men Who Rebuilt a Dead District Alone, and Made It the Most Valuable Address in the City." It runs on a Tuesday morning. By Thursday, 3 financial firms have submitted formal offers to establish regional headquarters in the Marin district. By Friday, the piece has been read so many times that the planning board's website crashes. Idrin Kalhert reads it on his phone at breakfast. He reads it again. He calls his acquisitions director and asks how much exposure the Kalhert Group has in the South Side Corridor, the 3 blocks adjacent to the Marin boundary that they acquired at distressed site pricing 7 years ago, planning to hold and wait for infrastructure investment that never came. The answer is significant. The Kalhert Group's South Side Corridor assets are now adjacent to the hottest address in Verith City and are valued at a fraction of it, because Solon built around them instead of through them, and every firm that wants a Marin address comes to Solon, not to Kalhert. Idrin calls Solon's office that afternoon. Solon's assistant, Della's nephew, who turned out to have a head for scheduling, takes a message. Solon doesn't return the call. Riva finds out about the piece the same way everyone in their old social circle does. Someone sends it with a 3-word message and a screenshot of the assessed value figure. She reads it twice. She looks at the photo of the promenade at dusk. She thinks about the ring she left on the drafting table. She shows up at the Marin district on a Thursday afternoon, 11 weeks after the piece runs, when the 4th block is nearly finished and the canal now has benches along it and a small iron bridge that Solon welded himself on a Sunday. She is dressed carefully. She finds him at the canal bridge, checking the load tolerance on a railing joint with a torque wrench, jacket off, sleeves rolled. "Solon," she says. He looks up. His expression is the same one he had the night she left, not cold, not angry. Just settled. Finished with something. "I made a mistake," she says. "I can see what you built. I can see what it is now. I should have stayed. I should have believed in this, in you." She pauses. "I'd like another chance." Solon sets the torque wrench down on the railing. "I don't think that's a good idea," he says. "I know how it looked," she says. "I know what I said. But look at what you've done here. You built something real. I was wrong to give you that ultimatum." "You weren't wrong that I had to choose," Solon says. "You just didn't expect me to choose the district." He picks the wrench back up. "That part hasn't changed. The district is still the thing I chose. That's still true." He goes back to checking the railing joint. Riva stands at the foot of the bridge. Below them, the canal moves slow and copper-colored in the late afternoon light. She asks if she can call him. He tells her, gently, that he doesn't think there's much point. He finishes the railing check. He moves to the next section. She stands there for another minute, then turns and walks back along the promenade, past Della's bakery, past the bookbinder, past the tailor's lit window, past the market hall that was a ruin when she left him. Solon doesn't watch her go. He finishes the 4th block on day 163. The compound multiplier at completion reads 17.2 times. The domain anchor updates. Domain anchor, Sovereign District, Phase 2 complete. Marin District, highest assessed yield from derelict baseline in Verith City history. Classification, above registry, no comparator exists in the city's valuation records. Note, sovereign contractor class has no ceiling function. District expansion continues at contractor's discretion. He opens his notebook that night and writes the only thing worth writing, day 163. The district is whatever I build next. He closes it. Outside, the promenade lanterns come on one by one in the dusk, Throwing their light long and gold across the canal, across the bridge with the iron railing he checked this afternoon, across the city that looked south and finally saw what was there. Solon Ver makes himself a cup of coffee, sits in the window of the market hall office, and starts sketching the fifth block. The dream chose right.